In a quiet village surrounded by tall mountains and endless forests lived a young blacksmith named Ethan. He was not famous, not rich, and not a warrior. Every day he worked beside his father's old forge, shaping iron into tools for farmers and travelers. But Ethan carried a secret dream. He wanted to become a hero. Far beyond the mountains stood the dark kingdom of Archon, ruled by a ruthless warlord named Lord Malvec. For years, Malvec had conquered cities and burned villages. His army was unstoppable, and people believed no one could defeat him. One cold night, a wounded knight arrived at Ethan's village. The knight collapsed near the forge, holding a glowing sword wrapped in cloth. With his last breath, the knight said, "Take this sword. It is the sword of dawn. Only someone with a brave heart can carry it to the fortress of Archon and end Malvec's tyranny." The knight died. The villagers were terrified. No one dared to go to Archon. The fortress was guarded by thousands of soldiers and terrifying beasts. But Ethan stepped forward. "I will go," he said. The villagers laughed at first. A blacksmith? A hero? Impossible. But Ethan picked up the glowing sword. The moment his hand touched it, the blade shone brighter, as if recognizing his courage. At sunrise, Ethan left the village. His journey was brutal. He crossed frozen rivers, dark forests, and mountains filled with bandits. More than once, he nearly died. Yet every time he fell, he remembered the frightened faces of the villagers, and he stood up again. Weeks later, Ethan finally reached the massive black fortress of Archon. Thunder rolled across the sky. Inside the fortress hall, Lord Malvec sat on his iron throne, surrounded by armored soldiers. Malvec laughed when he saw Ethan. "You?" the warlord mocked. "A simple blacksmith thinks he can challenge me?" Ethan raised the sword of dawn. "I'm not a hero," he said calmly, "but someone has to stop you." The battle was fierce. Malvec was huge and powerful, his sword striking like lightning. Ethan was pushed back again and again, bleeding and exhausted. Finally, Malvec knocked Ethan to the ground. "Your courage is meaningless," Malvec said, lifting his sword for the final strike. But Ethan slowly stood again. "Courage," he whispered, "is standing up one more time." At that moment, the sword of dawn burst into brilliant golden light. The hall filled with blinding energy. Ethan moved faster than ever before and struck with all his strength. The light exploded across the fortress. When the brightness faded, Malvec's sword lay broken on the ground. The warlord was defeated. News spread quickly across the lands. The tyrant of Archon was gone. But Ethan did not stay to become king or ruler. He returned quietly to his village, to the old forge. The people called him a legend. Yet every morning, the hero who defeated the greatest warlord in the world could still be found doing the same simple thing, hammering glowing iron into shape, sparks dancing in the air. Because sometimes the greatest heroes are not the ones born strong, but the ones who simply refuse to give up.